President. We stand with the people of Tanzania to advance sustainable development and support their aspirations for a prosperous Tanzania for all. Thank you.
I thank the Secretary General for his statement and for being with us today. The Secretary General needs to leave the meeting now owing to other commitments on his program today. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Congo, who will speak on behalf of the African states.
Well, Monsieur le Président de l'Assemblée générale, Mesdames et Messieurs les ambassadeurs, distingués collègues, c'est au nom du groupe des États d'Afrique que j'ai le triste devoir de prendre la parole à cette cérémonie solennelle d'hommage posthume par l'Assemblée générale des Nations unies au grand homme d'État que fut le président John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, décédé le 17 mars 2021. Je m'incline devant la mémoire de l'illustre disparu et présente nos condoléances les plus sincères au gouvernement et au peuple frère de la République unie de Tanzanie, endeuillé par la disparition inopinée de cet éminent dirigeant africain. J'adresse les mêmes condoléances aux membres de sa famille. En ces heures des plus sombres que connaît la Tanzanie, le groupe des États d'Afrique exprime sa solidarité et sa profonde sympathie aux frères et sœurs tanzaniens. Bulldozer, cet engin de terrassement très puissant, monté sur un tracteur à chenilles et qui sert à pousser des terres et à niveler des sols. Dans son sens figuré, un terme employé qui décrit cette personne que rien n'arrête. Oui, ce sobriquet de bulldozer qui lui fut attribué convient bien au bâtisseur que fut le président Magufuli. Après son élection en 2015, il a engagé son gouvernement dans un programme ambitieux de construction de diverses infrastructures aux fins du développement économique et social de son pays. Il aura signé les 5 ans de son premier mandat de projets emblématiques de construction de routes, de chemins de fer, de ponts, d'extension et de modernisation des ports et des aéroports et de diverses réalisations socio-économiques. Son sobriquet de bulldozer, il le doit également à l'implacable lutte qu'il a engagée contre la corruption en s'investissant en même temps dans l'assainissement et la rationalisation des finances publiques. Grâce à une gouvernance économique clairvoyante, qui a privilégié l'intérêt national. Il a hissé la Tanzanie parmi les croissances les plus élevées d'Afrique, avec un taux de 5,5% en 2018 et une tendance à la hausse de l'ordre de 6% en 2019. Comme une prophétie de ce croyant qu'il fut, le président Magufuli déclarait, et je le cite en anglais, « One day you will remember me. I know one day you will remember me. Not for bad things, but for the good deeds, because I have sacrificed my life for the poor in Tanzania. » Fin de citation. Telle fut l'une de ses priorités et son cheval de bataille, l'éradication de la pauvreté. Comme pour faire écho à cette prophétie, la Tanzanie tout entière, dans l'affliction mais reconnaissante, lui a réservé un hommage et des funérailles dignes d'un héros. Cette difficile et douloureuse épreuve a vu partir une figure politique panafricaniste iconique, chère, si aimée et appréciée de son peuple. Que son âme repose dans la paix éternelle. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Congo. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Kuwait, who will speak on behalf of Asia-Pacific states.
His Excellency, the President of the 75th Session of General Assembly, Mr. Volkan Bozkır, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Asia-Pacific Group, I would like to extend our deepest and most sincere condolences to the government and the people of the United Republic of Tanzania, in addition to our dear colleagues at the Permanent Mission of Tanzania, on the passing of their late President, His Excellency John Magufuli, on the 17th of March 2021. It is with a great sorrow that we learned of the passing of the late President last month. He was a man of devout faith who served his country and his people with distinction throughout his political career. President Magufuli was devoted to bringing growth and prosperity to the people of Tanzania as he strived to develop his country's economy and infrastructure. His Excellency's efforts to combat corruption will be remembered as he looked to build more transparent and affluent nation for his people. Over the years, President Magufuli took concrete steps to unlock the potential of his country and its people, and his reform efforts were recognized by the people of Tanzania as a significant strides that were made towards progress and development across many sectors, including health, education, and transport. He leaves behind a country filled with hope that it will hopefully continue to build on what he started. I would like to conclude by once again reiterating the heartfelt condolences of the members of the Asia-Pacific Group to the late President's family and the loved ones. May he rest in peace. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of Kuwait. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Romania, who will speak on behalf of Eastern European states.
Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm taking the floor on behalf of the group of the Eastern European states to express our deepest condolences to the government and people of the United Republic of Tanzania on the passing away of His Excellency John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, late President of the United Republic of Tanzania and a well-known political figure of the African continent who had a significant influence on his country's development. President Magufuli played a major role in Tanzanian politics for several decades. Prior to his presidency, he served as Minister of Works, Transport and Communication from 2000 to 2005 and from 2010 to 2015, and was chairman of the Southern African Development Community from 2019 to 2020. His efforts and determination, especially in promoting the economic advancement of Tanzania, will be remembered and remain as a lasting legacy. We take this opportunity to convey our confidence that Tanzania will continue its efforts aimed at ensuring the well-being and prosperity of its people and at making a noteworthy contribution to the African continent. May his soul rest in peace. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished representative of Romania. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of Chile, who will speak on behalf of Latin American and Caribbean states.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente, excelencias, delegadas y delegados. En nombre del Grupo de Estados de América Latina y el Caribe, el GRULAC, es un honor para mí intervenir en esta solemne ocasión para rendir homenaje al excelentísimo señor Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, difunto presidente de la República Unida de Tanzania, quien se desempeñó como líder y hombre de Estado del pueblo de Tanzania durante los 5 años que estuvo en el cargo y también antes como ministro de Carreteras. Durante su mandato, el presidente Magufuli trabajó para erradicar la corrupción, mejorar los servicios públicos y promover la salud pública mientras el país luchaba por reducir la propagación del cólera. Desde su elección el año 2015 se embarcó en un proceso para transformar las infraestructuras de su país, hacer el sistema más eficiente y conectar los mercados en su región a través de la introducción de tecnología agrícola, construcción de ferrocarriles y una red de carreteras para Tanzania que aún está creciendo día tras día. La comunidad internacional, y en particular la hermana región de África, ha perdido a un líder que abogó por redefinir el papel del servicio público en busca de la prestación de servicios eficientes que todos los ciudadanos merecen, y debemos rendirle un homenaje. Los Estados miembros de América Latina y el Caribe y sus representantes permanentes aquí en las Naciones Unidas expresan su más sentido pésame a su familia, al gobierno y al pueblo de la República Unida de Tanzania, esperando que puedan encontrar consuelo en el legado perdurable que ha dejado. Muchas gracias, señor presidente.
I thank the distinguished representative of Chile. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Netherlands, who will speak on behalf of Western European and other states.
Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I have the honor to deliver this statement on behalf of the Western European and other states group. On Wednesday, the 17th of March 2021, we received with sadness the news of the passing of President John Pombe Joseph Magufuli. On behalf of the Western European and other states group, I would like to extend our sincere condolences to the government and the people of the United Republic of Tanzania and the family and friends of the late President, Dr. John Magufuli. As we meet here today, we contemplate the memory of the late President and great African leader, Dr. John Magufuli, and we reflect on his loss. President Magufuli will be remembered for his desire and actions to realize the dreams of the first president of Tanzania, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere. We will also remember his perseverance and dedication to transform and develop Tanzania. Directly after his swearing in as president, we witnessed how President Magufuli vigorously worked to root out corruption, while at the same time promoting an improved public service ethos for civil servants and politicians alike. He lived to see Tanzania achieve the status of middle-income country, an ambition set to be achieved in 2025, but reached already before the sad events we are commemorating here. We applaud Tanzania's strong commitment to constitutionalism in strictly adhering to the constitutionally prescribed process and provisions with regard to the succession of the late President Magufuli. We welcome his successor, President Samia Suluhu Hassan, as a new member of the growing UN community of female heads of state and government, and pledge our full support to her in her new role and for the responsibilities conferred upon her. May I once again extend, on behalf of the Western and other states group, our heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family, the government and the people of the United Republic of Tanzania. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Netherlands. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the host country, the United States.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of the government and people of the United States of America, I would like to begin by extending our deepest sympathies to the wife and children of the late President, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, to his extended family and friends, and to all the people of Tanzania. Gathering here today, we remember a man who took immense pride in leading Tanzania and who consistently reminded us of his country's history as a leader in securing independence and promoting sustainable development across the continent of Africa. When President Magufuli assumed office in 2015, my government saw the sense of urgency he brought to the fight against corruption and heard his desire to improve the efficiency of the Tanzanian government. When he took steps to cut down the size of presidential delegations and to shrink his cabinet, we took notice. We also took notice of Tanzania's improvement in transparency metrics and President Magufuli's efforts to strengthen his government's corruption accountability mechanisms. May his memory be a blessing for those commemorating his life and tenure. His successor, President Suluhu Hassan, and her government are in our thoughts during this difficult time of transition. The United States has a long history of partnership with the people of Tanzania. We stand with all Tanzanian people as they seek to move forward, united in their determination to build a more democratic, healthy, and prosperous society. We are committed to working with Tanzania's new leadership and support their efforts as they strive to build that society for all Tanzanians. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of the United States. I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the United Republic of Tanzania.
Mr. President of the General Assembly, Secretary General, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, let me begin by thanking you all on behalf of Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President and Commander-in-Chief of the United Republic of Tanzania, government and people of the United Republic of Tanzania, and on my own behalf, for organizing this session to pay tribute to the memory of the late President, Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, who passed on March 17, 2021, this year. This is an immense honor, and we are deeply humbled. This gesture attests to the importance you attach to the spirit of solidarity within the United Nations. I thank you unreservedly for the kind words and heartfelt condolences extended to me and through me to the government and people of the United Republic of Tanzania, and especially the bereaved family. Mr. President, life has seasons. It has been said, and I quote, "Every so often, very rarely, a person who is best of their generation is gifted to the world," end of quote. Late President Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli was that rare person. He discovered the mission of his generation and never betrayed it. His love for God and his nation, his trust in his people, and his charisma made him a remarkable person with the dignity of a president with a common touch. He was a towering figure who inspired many across the world and spoke truth to power, and did so through tough love and in the tradition of humility. Among his peers, he practiced remarkable candor. He will always stand out as an unrelenting and hard-working leader, a true patriotic, a great statesman with a humble and selfless disposition. He was a paragon of virtues, an economic national who believed unapologetically on self-development. He was also a visionary leader, an ardent Pan-Africanist who believed that Tanzanians, Africans, and the entire humanity deserved the best. Taking over from his predecessor's achievements, he was an architect of the contemporary infrastructure development of Tanzania, and his development philosophy, as well as anti-corruption drive, created a unit of purpose and actions which propelled Tanzania to become a middle-income country in the lower category, nearly 5 years ahead of the projected time. He was a champion of self-determination and initiated several daring strategic institutional and regulatory reforms in order to build an independent and sustainable economy with self-reliance at its core. He was a true believer in a global solidarity and a force for stability in the search for great understanding and harmony between peoples of the world. May God rest his soul in everlasting peace. Mr. President, as the chapter of the fifth phase government of Tanzania has closed, a new chapter has smoothly opened. On 19th March 2021 this year, Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan was sworn in as the 6th President and Commander-in-Chief of the United Republic of Tanzania. We are proud as a nation and grateful to have ushered at the helm the first woman president in the history of our country. She is currently the only woman head of state and government in Africa, and we can never be prouder. Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan is patriotic, a seasoned politician with high principles, a visionary stateswoman, and a staunch supporter of multilateralism. Her Excellency the President is no stranger to this organization, and her commitment to and belief in the ideals of the UN Charter is unquestionable. Under her leadership, the United Republic of Tanzania will continue to be a very faithful member of the United Nations and what it stands for: international peace and security, human rights, development, and well-being of the human race. Her Excellency the President has already taken over the leadership with unprecedented vitality, humility, creativity, speed, and passion towards achievement of the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development. Mr. President, finally, at this solemn occasion where we are gathered to honor the memory of the late Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, let me conclude by recalling what late President Benjamin William Mkapa of the United Republic of Tanzania said on the passing of our father of the nation, Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere, in 1999, and I quote, "Our world is composed of givers and takers. The takers may eat better, but the givers sleep better," end of quote. Indeed, in death, as in life, Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli sleeps better, for his entire life was a life of giving and not taking. The late President, Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, died at the age of 61 as a fulfilled man, and history will remember him fondly. I thank you for the kindness and the courtesy with which you have listened to me. Asanteni sana.
I thank the distinguished representative of the United Republic of Tanzania. The General Assembly will now consider the reports of the Fifth Committee on agenda items 147, 148, 141, and 139. I request the rapporteur of the Fifth Committee, Mr. Tusang Terence Te of Singapore, to introduce in one intervention the reports of the Fifth Committee before the Assembly.
Mr. President, distinguished delegates, I have the honor to present to the General Assembly the reports of the Fifth Committee containing recommendations on issues considered during the first part of the resumed 75th session of the General Assembly. The Fifth Committee met from 1 to 26 March and held 3 plenary meetings, as well as numerous informal and informal consultations. Mr. President, let me now present the reports of the Fifth Committee containing recommendations on issues that require action by the General Assembly. Under Agenda Item 141, Program Budget for 2021, in paragraph 6 of its report A/75/682/Addendum 1, the committee recommends to the General Assembly the adoption of a draft resolution on special subjects relating to the program budget for 2021, which was adopted by the committee without a vote. Under Agenda Item 147, Joint Inspection Unit, in paragraph 6 of its report contained in document A/75/830, the committee recommends to the General Assembly the adoption of a draft resolution which was adopted by the committee without a vote. Under Agenda Item 148, United Nations Common System, in paragraph 7 of its report contained in document A/75/670/Addendum 1, the committee recommends to the General Assembly the adoption of a draft resolution which was adopted by the committee without a vote. Finally, under Agenda Item 139, entitled Review of the Efficiency of the Administrative and Financial Functioning of the United Nations, in paragraph 6 of its report A/75/683/Addendum 1, the committee recommends to the General Assembly the adoption of the draft decision entitled Questions Deferred for Future Consideration, which was adopted by the committee without a vote. Mr. President, I thank delegations for their cooperation and the spirit of compromise which enabled the committee to finish its work on time. I would also like to thank the chair of the committee, Ambassador Carlos Amorin, and his team, Fernanda Silveira, for their guidance and encouragement. I also thank my colleagues in the Bureau, Katlego Malane of Botswana, Jakub Mielewski of Poland, and Aisha Crabtree of Turkey, with whom we have always had robust and good-hearted exchanges. I look forward to working with them to ensure the success of the second part of the resume session that will take place in May, in which the committee will focus on the financing of peacekeeping operations. Finally, I would also like to give special thanks to the Fifth Committee Secretariat, led by Mr. Lionel Berich and his team, Wodianto Sumitro, Sarah Mueller, Geraldine Valandria, Lindsay Edwards, Eileen McGrade, and Rogena Indoctivo for their tireless and admirable dedication to their work. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the rapporteur of the Fifth Committee. The positions of delegations regarding the recommendations of the Fifth Committee has been made clear in the committee and are reflected in the relevant official records. Therefore, if there is no proposal under Rule 66 of the Rules of Procedure, I shall take it that the General Assembly decides not to discuss the reports of the Fifth Committee, which are before the Assembly today. It is so decided. Statements will therefore be limited to explanations of vote. May I remind members that in accordance with the General Assembly Decision 34/401, when the same draft resolution is considered in a main committee and in plenary meeting, a delegation should, as far as possible, explain its vote only once, that is, either in the committee or in plenary meeting, unless that delegation's vote in plenary meeting is different from its vote in the committee, and that explanations of vote are limited to 10 minutes and should be made by delegations from their seats. Before we begin to take action on the recommendations contained in the reports of the Fifth Committee, I should like to advise representatives that we will proceed to take decisions in the same manner as was done in the Fifth Committee, unless notified otherwise in advance. I should therefore hope that we will proceed to adopt without a vote those recommendations that were adopted without a vote in the Fifth Committee. The Assembly will consider the report of the Fifth Committee on Agenda Item 147, entitled Joint Inspection Unit, issued as document A/75/830. The Assembly has before it a draft resolution recommended by the Fifth Committee in paragraph 6 of its report. We will now take a decision on the draft resolution. The Fifth Committee adopted the draft resolution without a vote. May I take it that the Assembly wishes to do likewise? It is so decided. The Assembly has thus concluded this stage of its consideration of Agenda Item 147. The Assembly will consider the report of the Fifth Committee on Agenda Item 148, entitled United Nations Common System, issued as document A/75/670, Addendum 1. The Assembly has before it a draft resolution recommended by the Fifth Committee